Amen. Go ahead and grab a seat. Boy, those songs take me back. Once upon a time, in a little town in Missouri, I was a worship leader for an unexpected season of my life. And like that song there, like Chris Tomlin's like my jam. And so, like, has anyone ever heard of Chris Tomlin before? Like, you're like, my parents have that album, right? And so, but I love that guy. And that song like takes me back like to a season in my life that was an unexpected season, but a really sweet season. And so it was a really, really good time. Life's kind of like that, right? I mean, we're kind of in this season right now of fall. Fall is one of my top 4 favorite seasons, actually. And so it is one that I enjoy every year. And so I thought, in the spirit of seasons, we could start today by getting to know our neighbors in this way, okay? So we're going to do a quick poll. So I want you to think about, okay, the 4 seasons, you know, the traditional seasons, summer, fall, winter, spring. And we're gonna do a standing poll, okay? And so if you have to pick one, all right? Some of you guys are like, I like Christmas and I like Easter, okay? I don't care. And so you have to pick one, all right? So, all right, we're going to start with summer, okay? All the summer people who are just like hating, like clawing on, like summer's going away, like, okay, stand up now if you have summer is like your number 1 favorite season. Go ahead and stand up. Do something summery, right? Woo, summer, I swim, I don't know what you're doing, okay? Wow, not a lot of summer lovers. All right, sit down, you're a minority, okay. Okay, here we go. And so you are not the majority here, all right? So how about fall? People who love fall, all right? Where are my fall people at? Where are my plaid shirts at today? Sit down, remain standing if you're wearing a plaid shirt, all right? Only a few true fall lovers are here in the house today. I'm just kidding. No, fall, right? It's a great season. The flannels come out, all right? And so, all right, how about this one's going to be a little bit like revealing, okay? Because this is not my favorite. I'm just going to confess. Okay, winter people. Who loves winter? Stand up. Wow. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. There you go. All right, sit down. That's good. You guys are way too cheery, all right? You bother people. I'm just kidding. No, winter time. Yes, I love winter too. It's a second favorite maybe. All right, now lastly, springtime people. Where are my springtime people at? A little new life there. All right. Cool. Someone said allergies. I'm sorry. So there's a lot of different forces that go into like how we feel about the seasons, right? And so I come from the Midwest. That's where my homeland is, okay? In the Midwest, we have like the traditional seasons. Like the things you see on like a calendar about seasons is what happens in Missouri where I come from, all right? So summertime, it's green. Everything's green. My first summer in California, I was like, what happened? And so like all the moisture goes out of everything. It's dry. The state's on fire. I'm like, what's going on? Because like it's supposed to be like thunderstorms. We have these epic, beautiful thunderstorms, and the humidity rolls in like a wet blanket for the entire summer. And you're sticky, and like, but at nighttime it doesn't cool down, so you don't open the windows, but the fireflies come out, and that's cool. It makes things better, okay? It's kind of magical. Those are real. They're not just in movies, I swear. And so, you know, and then so summer's great, and then it gives way to fall, right? And fall, in where I come from, is like this explosion of colors. I mean, it is like literally orange and red, and the trees just look like they're on fire with color, and it's gorgeous. There's frost all of a sudden on the grass. You got to like scrape your windshield in the morning before you go someplace. It's just like you can feel it in the air that things are turning, that the winter is coming. In wintertime in Missouri is the worst, okay? So it is cold. I married a California girl. I met her just out of college, and I drug her back to Missouri as soon as we got married. And literally, we moved there in January, and I moved, ladies, just be aware of this, okay? Beware who you marry, all right? And beware where they might take you, okay? So I clubbed her on the head, and I drug her back to my cave in Missouri in January, all right? And it was literally one of the coldest Januaries in like a decade. Like it stayed below 20 for the month. Yes. So it was like in the teens, all right? And there was ice storms and snow, and she's like, I'm living in the movie Frozen, okay? Like it was like bizarre for her. It was like a novelty for the first couple years, and after that she's like, we need to get back to California. And I'm like, I agree with you. And so but it is beautiful. You can actually dream of a white Christmas, and it happens in Missouri. So if you love all that, you winter folks, consider a winter in Missouri. And then lastly, springtime. Spring there is, it is a lot like here. All of a sudden, just life and like things are blooming and like little buds pop up through the frost. And it's just a magical time. Little bunnies are hopping along, finding little bunny mates, right? And doing little bunny things. And so I'm like, oh, it's just a beautiful, magical time, right? It's like the movie Bambi. And so, but I love the seasons. Some of you guys have never heard of Bambi before, and I pity you for it. So seasons, all right? So in case you haven't been able to tell, I'm talking about seasons as our metaphor of the morning. And so, but in our Abide series, which we're talking about here, understanding the reality of seasons and embracing the seasons as they come is truly a key to life with God. There is no way that you can abide with Christ if you are unwilling to hold on to him in every season. If there are some seasons you're like, I'm out, all right, I'm just going to retire over here. Wintertime, I'll be hiding in my hole, or I'll be trimming the tree, or I'll do whatever, right? Like if you're not willing to sit with God in the sunshine and in the rain, in the drought and also in the blizzard, then it's going to be very difficult for you to find a life with Christ that is abiding, a life with God that is lasting. Because in the same way that seasons change every, 3 months or so, right? There's the cycle, essentially. We live in California. Seasons can change, kind of. And so you might put your shorts away for a couple months, right? But regardless, you can understand, it's still here. You can't avoid the fact that the days are getting shorter. Have you guys noticed that? Isn't that sad? Pretty soon daylight savings time is going to happen. It's going to be dark at like 5 o'clock, the most depressing time of the year, right? But the cool thing is that the pumpkin spice lattes are back, right? And so that's a good thing. You can tell in California that fall is coming. And the few trees that do really burst into color, they're starting to go, I'm feeling it, right? And they're starting to turn a little bit here, even though today's going to be like 95 degrees, right? Someone give the memo to the state of California. But these seasons are built into our existence, and you can run from, metaphorically, the seasons that come in life, or you can embrace them, and you can find with God, you can find growth, and you can find meaning, and you can do something with God for his glory that would bring him honor in the seasons that are set to come in life. But seasons are built into our existence. Has anyone taken the Strengths Finder test before, the Gallup Strengths Finder? A lot of y'all new folks have done it maybe, all right? So we're going to be digging into that a little bit further in the semester, but they're amazing and really revealing. But I'm a learner, number 2, okay? So any learners in the house? All right. They can call us nerds if they want to, but we're learning, baby, and we're excited about it. So I was thinking about the seasons, and I was just kind of pondering this reality here, and it's so weird to me to learn, and I've been thinking about this for a while, that seasons only exist because the world is literally like a twisted place. It's like tilted. Like if you look at a picture of the Earth, like I've got a solar system picture here, right? Earth isn't like this thing that just stays in one place in the universe, spins on a nice vertical axis and never changes, right? We are literally on a hurtling ball of like rock and water, spinning on like an axis, like literally like it's like a 23.5 degree axis that the Earth twists on as it orbits around the sun. You guys getting seasick? So, like, it's crazy that we are constantly in motion. The universe itself is in motion. Our solar system is in motion. That nothing about life is static, even though we would die to make it that way. We'd love to have a life. I would love to have a life that is free of change, that is just like predictable, that every day I know what's coming, no surprises, right? And it's just understandable. But if you think about what that would do to the Earth, literally, life on Earth would cease to exist as we know it if God was to one day just put it straight, stop it spinning, literally instant death. We'd go hurtling off the planet, like everything would die. There would be no more seasons of fruitfulness, no more food, no more reproduction in the animal kingdom. People would be like lost and dark, and we would all shrivel up. And so the beautiful thing about the world we live in is that God has built in, before the fall, before any of us were smart enough to understand the relationship in the seasons, God placed us in this beautifully calibrated, divinely designed incubator to experience seasons in life and to live within those rhythms in a way that would bring him glory and would bring our growth and our thriving in the world we live in. And these seasons, literally, if you watch the Discovery Channel recently, they tell the plants when to grow. They tell the birds when to migrate. They tell the animals when to go and find a mate and reproduce. And there's these predictable seasons every single year that we can recognize and lean into. And wisdom is not to resist that, but to see it for what it is. And I want to show you guys in the Bible where this is true. Ecclesiastes in verses 1 through 8, chapter 3, says this about the seasons. You don't have to turn there. I'm going to throw it on the screen for you. For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die. Ecclesiastes is not the most encouraging book in the Bible, by the way. So it's true, though, and in that we can find encouragement because of the truth. But check it out. It's just real. A time to plant and a time to pluck up what is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to seek and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to cast away. A time to tear and a time to sow. A time to keep silence and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time for war and a time for peace. Isn't that interesting, in God's truth? For everything there's a season and a time for every matter under heaven. And so my premise today is just something to help prepare you for what's to come, and especially in whatever season you find yourself in life right now. That it would not be a season that you're resisting God under, but it could be one that you're inviting God into. Because the fact of the matter is that your life from here on out is literally a series of seasons. They're coming for you. You're living now in spring, you're living now in summer, but just around the corner, there's another season coming. And your feelings about those transitions as they're taking place will really dictate your attitude towards God and your interest in what's going on in the world around you. Your posturing towards what's going on with the seasons. And I just have a couple premises here I need to unpack for you as we lean into this topic today. But the first thing as I'm reflecting on is that seasons bring change. Seasons bring change, and we're mixing the metaphor. We're jumping back and forth between natural and personal. But for you all, there have been seasons in your life that have brought change. Guys, there was a time in your life when you probably stopped wearing superhero underwear. For some of you guys, the time is now, okay? So you might be able to squeeze a few more years out of that, but I would recommend, you start thinking about maybe pick some solids, in the years to come, all right? So guys, there's a time you probably stopped, when you probably stopped pulling girls' hair and teasing them, and running away and pushing them down on the playground, right? And if you still do that, you're probably going to end up in the dean's office, all right? And so there's a time when we used to act in childish ways, right? And there's a time we stopped wanting to do that. I remember how recess used to be the most fun time in the world when I was a little kid. And then when I got to middle school and then sweating started equaling stinking, I was like, I don't like this anymore. Like, why would you make me run a mile in this very sensitive time of life and then go talk to Jennifer Hudson, right? Like, she doesn't want to be around me after that, right? And so I'm like, I don't want to run a mile anymore. I don't want to go frolic in the heat anymore. I'll stay in the air conditioning, right? Because I got some things to do. I got some things I'm working on here. It's middle school, okay? But you girls, maybe for you, I'm stereotyping here, but I can't help it. And so there's probably a day when you had to make the tough choice at Walmart between the really compelling puppy folder and the plastic plain folder, okay? So you feel me? The rainbow unicorn one, right? Okay? Or I'm going to go a little bit more, maybe I'm going to take it down a couple notches here and just go kittens, okay? So some of you, again, if some of you have a really rad folder, please come up and show me after chapel. It will bring me joy, all right? And so, but there's these transitions that happen when we stop doing things that, like the little jelly shoes and, the scrunchies in the side of the head. That was like what my sister would always wear. And my sister burned those things, right? They were no longer a part of her existence anymore. And the My Little Ponies went into a suitcase that now live in the attic, all right? And for me, the Ninja Turtles, I don't know where they went, but I'm still sad about it. But seasons bring change, and that change is great. I have a toddler now, and watching my son grow and change is great. Right now, he is super big, but he's not potty trained yet. Do you think I'm excited about the transition from this kid going from diapers to a big boy toilet? I can guarantee I am. And if you don't know why that would be, come live with me for a day, all right? And you can change a couple of my kids' diapers, and so you'll see. But these seasons that bring change are seasons that unleash for us opportunities to grow in new ways that we never before were imagining or thinking possible. They're ways that oftentimes force us into new growth and new opportunities where we can add to our skill set, our mentality, our maturity, something that's going to allow God to do something more and better and different in us than he could before. But that requires a change. Seasons spark growth. Seasons spark a growth in your life, in your spiritual life, where you go from maybe thinking of God as this like benevolent grandpa in the sky, who's like, he's there to give us nice things and be great to us. But when you enter a season when that changes, when it's not all sunshine and gumdrops, and for some of you guys that was like, I never known a season that wasn't like that. For some of you guys, you've made it to college pretty much unscathed and maybe unchallenged. Those times are coming for you, but those seasons spark growth in us that enable us to see the world in a different way. And the fruit that God wants to produce in us can only be produced when he's stretching us and growing us. That's the heart of the metaphor in John chapter 15, where we're spending our time this semester, that Jesus says, I'm the vine, you are the branches. Abide in me, and you will bear much fruit. And in that metaphor, Jesus is talking about this process that with cultivation and tender care, with even pruning, which is a painful cutting back of what is to enable more growth for what could be, a season that changes so that growth can occur. Those are the types of things that a loving God, a loving Father would want to do in our lives. So seasons spark growth in our lives. And as we read this Ecclesiastes thing, there's one thing that's definitely true. And seasons that come in life, as much as I would want to live in the season now, and having a toddler is sort of like having a puppy in some ways. Have you guys ever had a puppy before, right? Or a kitten? Okay, you have one right now, Carlin? Oh, congratulations. So, you guys ever get that before? I remember there was a Christmas that came, and we weren't expecting it. My sister had petitioned. My sister should have been probably like a politician, because she petitioned my father with graphs and charts, and she was 7, right? She's like, Dad, here's the top 10 reasons the Haynes family needs a puppy, okay? My dad was very resistant to this idea. And then one Christmas morning, we came down, and my dad's like, hey, you guys want to check out the basket on the fireplace? I'm like, no. And so I'm like, I'm looking for my Nintendo, Dad. And all of a sudden, and this thing's there's something moving beneath the blankets, and out plops this little thing, and I literally said, oh, what is it? Because it looked like a guinea pig, okay? It was a baby Yorkie. And so it was the cutest little thing in the world. And that Christmas was so cute. You know what happened next Christmas? We were so annoyed because that little puppy had turned into this gnawing, biting, disobedient little thing. We'd have to take him and throw him outside in the snow to go to the bathroom in the wintertime, right? And bring him back in. And he's peeing on everything, and we were having to clean it up. And so that cute little puppy season, it changed. I would love to keep my kid in this season to love him, because he wants to sit on my lap and he wants Daddy to read him books. But the season's going to change, and those changes are unavoidable. For you guys, man, the change for you guys to move from home to college, for some of you all, that was your parents' worst nightmare. I sat around doing new student orientation weekend, and I was just my heart was breaking inside. I'm like, I don't want this to happen. And so, it's hard, because the change of letting your kids go out into the world, for you guys, the change of coming to a new place and having freedom and opportunity and all these things for yourself, those are great. And those seasons, like it or not, are unavoidable. Seasons are unavoidable in life. And the ones that we can see coming and get ready for, those are great. I hope that you got excited about college. I hope that you're excited about your first fall or your second fall here or your last fall at Jessup. I hope that you're excited. But right on the other side of those things is some stuff that you might be dreading. Some of y'all seniors, you're graduating in December. Whoa, right? Life is approaching fast, right? The rest of you guys, some of you guys are taking the full year here. You're going to ride the train all the way to May. And then on the other side of that exists life, right? And we hope that you can get out there and you can seize vocation and calling and meaning in the world as a transformational leader. But man, the reality is that season's coming, and you can't stop it. But these seasons that we can see coming are great. A new relationship season is a fun season, right? Right? You guys feeling that right now? Anyone want to nudge their neighbor? Okay. New relationship maybe, right? That's exciting, and it's ooh, you're all Twitter-pated, right? It's this is so fun, right? But here's a season that's not fun and that is unavoidable. Getting broken up with, all right? How many people love that feeling? You love that season? Out of the blue, nowhere, they just say, we need to talk. And you're like, great, where are we going this weekend? Oh, no, it's not that talk. I'm breaking up with you. That's a horrible feeling. It's an unavoidable season, right? But newsflash, let me tell you guys a really valuable truth tonight. We've got a relationship panel this evening, okay? So you will break up with every person you date until you marry them, all right? And so just think about this, the grand experiment here, right? I mean, it's all not going to work out until it works out. And so isn't that terrifying and also empowering at the same time? And so oh, they broke up with me. It's like, okay, well, they're not the one, right? So you're moving right along, okay? So in some ways, I know that's kind of heartless, right? And so I've been in young adult ministry for a long time, okay? And so, but the reality is you can give of your heart, right? Invest, be wise, right? Don't awaken love too early. Damien talked about that a couple weeks ago. All those things are wise. But the reality is you know what? And I see you guys. I see you go from oh man, you're getting dressed and looking good for the whole week, and then breakup happens, boom, nosedive, right? Hoodie up, cry face on. It's I don't like life anymore. All right? That season is unavoidable. What are you going to do when that happens? What are you going to do if that happens, all right? Are you going to continue to water the rest of the seeds in your life of friendship and God and other relationships? You're just going to water the one seed, and then it's going to work out, and then it doesn't, and then you're like, what in the world? All right? But the seasons that are unavoidable, the seasons that catch us by surprise are sometimes the worst. Some of you all have had times in life when things were going great, and all of a sudden, tragedy occurred. Pain, loss, bad news, broken hearts. I mean, they're really bad stuff. Really bad stuff. In that season, you didn't want that season. You didn't invite that season. That season was thrown upon you by life. Because we live in a fallen world. What do you do when seasons like that happen? Because seasons like that are unavoidable. Some of you guys, I see, giving it all in the field, and you are amazing athletes, and then some of us had this happen before. Things are going great, and all of a sudden, I heard this crack, and I fell to the ground, and now everything's different. And now you're in a season where crutches or a wheelchair or physical therapy is a thing, right? We see our friends here on campus. You see some people in that situation here. Would you love and encourage them? That was an unexpected season for them, and they're going through a really hard time. But hardship and loss and brokenness, those things, I don't think God sends those things for our harm. I think we live in a broken world, but I think that God can meet us in the midst of those things and redeem those things to make them better. There's a Psalm 23, verse 4. And it's in the middle of all this good stuff about how God's my shepherd. Psalm 23, 4 has this amazing promise. It says, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, that is a tough season. I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. This psalmist it's a story about the good stuff God's doing. You make me lie down in green pastures. We get a nice drink of water. You restore my soul. But even in that one, it's you lead me on the long way around the valley of the shadow of death. That's not it. He says, when I go through that place, because that season will come, God, you're there with me. You meet me there. Friends, we can try to avoid seasons, and we can bemoan and begrudge the seasons we find ourselves in, or we can invite God into those seasons. Because any season, even the ones we hate the most, can become a sacred season if you invite God to be a part of it with you. The worst seasons of your life are not going to be the hardest ones. They're going to be the ones that you leave God on the sideline and say, I'm going to go through this by myself. That's the season you need to watch out for. And when hardship comes, when trouble comes, when unexpected seasons fall upon you, just rest assured that God's going to be there for you, that he sees you and knows you, and he's not abandoning you. And invite him to redeem that. Pain is not fun. I don't rejoice in pain. I don't like working out. I don't like pain for the sake of growth. And so I don't like anything about that, right? But the reality is that there's something that happens when we go through tough times and resistance, and we persevere and we push through, and God does something amazing. So don't choose to wither and curl up in those seasons of drought, or that extreme cold where you just feel so beaten down that you'll never bud again, because the promise is that God is with you there and he will see you through. Because some seasons are unavoidable, but the good news is that most seasons in life are temporary. Most seasons are temporary. Summer doesn't last forever. That's my last point of the day, by the way. Seasons are temporary. God's promises last forever. His covenants are permanent. He promises to love you. He says, I'll never flood the earth again with water. Here's a rainbow, I promise. He says, here's Jesus. He's the Savior. He's gonna covenant with you that if you put your faith in him, your hope in him, he'll never leave you or forsake you. And you will find eternal life now and in eternity. Those are covenants. My promise to my wife wasn't a seasonal promise. Baby, I'm going to love you for 12 good years, and then peace, I'm out of here. No. My covenant with my wife is a mirror of the promise that God made to us. It's a marriage covenant, and it's enduring. I picked a person to do every season of life with till the end of my life. And I'm leaning into that, and I'm investing in that. I mean, family, I didn't get to pick my family, but I'm with them. They're broken. I love them. We're working it out all together. But man, some seasons, the seasons of life I'm talking about here, are the seasons, the temporary stuff. It's not the relationships that it lasts forever. It's the stuff that's like, you know what? I don't know if this will ever change. I'll ever make it through it. You will. You will. College is hard, and it's going to end. And right beyond that, a new season. Young adulthood is hard. New careers, new opportunities, the adventure of love and trying to find who you're going to marry or not and all those things, that's hard. And that continues on. A season of singleness might be a short one. It might be a lifelong thing. But you know what? God is with us in the seasons. God promises that he will not abandon us, and that in any season, as long as you keep submitting it to him, he's not concerned about how long you think it ought to be. He's concerned about what you're doing with it and how much you're inviting him into it. And if we can have that degree of faith, if we can have that degree of love, if we can have that tenacity and that endurance, and we can find ourselves at the finish line with God, reaping a harvest. Galatians chapter 6, verse 9 says this. It says, and let us not grow weary of doing good. You hear that right there? You hear the tension in that? Paul's writing this to a group of people who are very discouraged. They don't know if they can hang on. He says, let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. So my charge for you is, don't give up. My charge for you is whatever season you're in, and I encourage you to think about that this week. Think about what season you're in. Maybe have a conversation with a friend after chapel and be like, hey, you know all that season stuff? Ryan wouldn't shut up about seasons. Like, what season are you in right now? If you were to say, well, I'm kind of like in a springtime season. There's lots of hope. Or maybe for some of you guys, I'm in a winter season. It's bleak and hopeless and dark, all right? You're like, let me pray for you, okay? But seriously, don't hide the seasons. We're not happy sunshine people here. Like, you're real, and this is a place where you can share that. But I encourage you, do some reflecting with God. Asking God, what season do you have me in right now? God, what do you have for me now in this season? I want to abide in you. I want to rest in you in this season, God, but I don't know what you're doing. God, give me faith, give me strength, and think about what God might be trying to do, and encourage others as they're doing that as well. But at the end of the day, we have to embrace the season we're in life. You can choose to park in it, and sometimes seasons we kind of hang on to too long, or you can choose to invite God into it and listen to him. But the crazy thing is that every season has an end, and God is with you in all those seasons. And my prayer is that God will bless you and he'll strengthen you in every season for your growth and for his glory until the day he calls you home. That is my prayer for you.